As you all know, this year is the 40th anniversary of Super Mario Bros., the game that set the tone and future for Nintendo's mascot Plumber. And over on the Nintendo Chronicler channel, I've been celebrating with a series of videos covering how the community feels about the franchise. What is the best Mario game, who are the most popular Mario characters, who do we want to see playable in the next Mario spin-off, and so on. But there was at least one question in this poll that is ideal for Source Gaming, given our history. Which Super Mario characters do you all want to see added to Super Smash Bros. As a fighter? So, it's time for a classic Super Smash Bros. Fighter video. Who are the top 10 Mario characters requested for the next Super Smash Bros.? And let's start off a little differently. Let's begin at number 1, because, let's be real, it was really obvious. Waluigi, the rival to Luigi and possible brother to Wario, took the number 1 spot by a significant margin, having over double the votes of second place. And this makes sense. Even since the Smash 4 days, fans have clamoured for him to join the roster, and it feels like Sakurai has been bullying him in the past by keeping him as an assist trophy. But the next Super Smash Bros. May be his time to shine. Most of the other big requests of the past have made it in, like King K. Rool and Ridley, putting Waluigi and Bandana Waddle Dee up top as the next in line. And with Daisy having made it onto the roster in Ultimate and Toad as a part of Peach's moveset, Waluigi does feel like the last member of the core Mario cast to not have any kind of fighter role. He's been trying hard since Brawl to make the cut, and with everyone's help, he might just make it into the next game. So okay, with Mr. Obvious out of the way, let's rewind back to number 10 and work our way up from there. He brings with him the Fury! It's Fawful from the Mario and Luigi line of games. Mario has fought a variety of unique opponents over his RPG career, but Fawful sits on top as one of the fan favourites. Debuting in the original Mario & Luigi as a secondary antagonist, this bean got to take on the role of primary antagonist in the fan favourite title Bowser's Inside Story. Excluding Bowser himself, this makes Fawful the only RPG antagonist to be recurring, which helped him have a lasting impact in the minds of fans. In Super Smash Bros., he would probably have a moveset that combines his attacks from both games. We would suspect his appearance would be based more so on his red cloak design from Inside Story, instead of the leotard he wears in the first 2 games, with an ult referencing his dark Fawful colour scheme. Rather than walk, Fawful would hover similar to Bowser Jr. using his platform from Inside Story, but his up special would see the vacuum helmet return from the original game. Many of Fawful's attacks are projectile based with green energy balls and lasers, and he can also use his vacuum pack as a grab, similar to Luigi's Poltergust. Fawful has a bunch of mechs shaped after him like the Fawful Copter that could be summoned similar to the Mecha Koopa, and his final smash would have him use the Dark Star to temporarily become his final Dark Star form that Mario and Luigi fight in that game. It would be very similar to how Bowser Jr. plays in Super Smash Bros. Already. Plenty of generic Mario mob enemies were in the running, but the one who stands on top of them all is one of the most recognisable of Bowser's minions, the Koopa Trooper. There have been many named Koopa Troopers over the years, like Koops and Kylie Koopa, and they became the first playable mob enemy in the Super Mario series, debuting in Super Mario Kart. So they have a history of being chosen for the playable role. And between the various Koopa Trooper types and playable Koopas over the years, we have plenty of options for a moveset. Of course, their most iconic ability is the power to go into their shell and ram opponents, which can be used as a smash attack, dash attack, and even side special, each instance having different properties. A shell ground pound for the down special and shell toss for a neutral special projectile also seems fitting. Basically, use the shell for as much as possible. But there are subspecies we can look towards for more options, in particular the Paratrooper. Just as iconic as its grounded form, we think a neat gimmick for Koopa Trooper could be a stance change from grounded to flying using the up special. Basically, Koopa Trooper can temporarily grow wings and become Koopa Paratrooper, receiving better recovery and good aerial attacks, but if they take enough damage or get footstool jumped on once, they lose their wings and fall down to earth. A shelled Icarus. As for the final smash, we have to call upon the iconic blue shell. While it is already an item, Koopa Troopers would have wings like in Mario Kart Wii and the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and would dash around similar to Supersonic, wrapping itself around the screen before crashing into the player who is winning for a large explosion. After Waluigi, Birdo is next in line as a series mainstay in terms of legacy and importance. Originally an antagonist to the gang, the side games have brought her into the fold, starting off as a partner to Yoshi before just becoming one of the girl gang. This similarity to Yoshi could make her a potential echo for the green dinosaur, a Crom or Ken-style one at least, but a semi-clone probably makes more sense. Obviously, the two main differences would come from how she eats foes and how she shoots her eggs, both coming from the mouth. This could be handled like Yoshi's setup, where the neutral special is the inhaling ability and the up special is the egg shot. Or it could be like King K. Rool's neutral, where she fires an egg out first and then if you hold it down, she sucks opponents in. Personally, we think the latter is more accurate to her role in the games. We're not quite sure what to do for her up special or final smash though. Perhaps the former could pull from her debut title and summon a magic carpet to ride, and maybe the latter could bring Mecha Birdo from Super Mario Advance in, who fires a giant egg from the back of the screen. At the very least, the final smash should involve a giant egg, given that's what Birdo is primarily known for. After Bowser, this villainous king is the next most recurring and most popular of the Super Mario antagonists, King Boo. While his standard Boo with a crown appearance is the one that appears in most games, including most of his playable appearances, we fully expect a Super Smash Bros. Iteration of him to be based on his Luigi's Mansion form, with the purple crown and terrifying eyes. That's where most of his popularity comes from, after all. And in terms of a moveset for King Boo, it's really easy. We not only have his abilities from the various boss battles to pick from, but also the abilities of all the Boo variants out there. Licking opponents to stun them is a must, and we think a special that summons smaller Boos to float around the stage with the occasional Bomb Boo also works. Teleportation for his recovery and trapping opponents in paintings for an insta-kill final smash just writes itself. There's just a lot to work with for the King of the Ghosts, and we think he would make an effective fighter in the Super Smash Bros. Ring. Another popular pick for a fighter, the star of his own series and recurring mainstay of both the 2D and 3D Mario games, Captain Toad is the lovable explorer who can't jump, which is obviously a big problem for Super Smash Bros. And while we don't think that would come through entirely if he was to make his fighting debut, we think it could make for a fun gimmick. But I don't want to waste time in this video going into details on it, when this is one of the characters we have an entire moveset for mapped out already on the Source Gaming website. So check that out if you want more details. One benefit of Captain Toad would be the inclusion of Explorer Toadette as an alt. They play identically in every game they have appeared in together so far, and the Super Smash Bros. Series has no qualms with these almost echoes but not quite additions. We think Toadette would absolutely come along with the good captain into Super Smash Bros., and to be honest, same for the rest of the Toad Brigade. She's made a comeback for the ages, but Mario's original leading lady has seen quite the splash in recent years. Infamously, I once said she had a 1% chance of making it into Super Smash Bros. As a fighter, but that was then and this is now. Through her various spin-off appearances and her recent main character role in Donkey Kong Bonanza, she has carved out a niche for herself in the Mario cast as a singer and performer, which could lend itself to a moveset. This poll was conducted before Bonanza was even announced, so the Pauline being requested here is the original adult version, but that doesn't mean we can't pull from Bonanza. In particular, Pauline's ability in the game's 2-player mode to turn her voice into interactable objects and fire it off makes for a great projectile. Having singing for her side special and call back to her classic umbrella for her up special, and why not call upon the Mini Marios as a possible down special, with the ability to summon Mini Mario, Mini Donkey Kong and Mini Pauline. And the New Donk City Festival writes itself as her cinematic final smash. She has options now, and so we could see her make another playable debut right here. Didn't we already have Toad before? No, silly, that was Captain Toad. These are very different characters. At least that is what Nintendo thinks with how they portray both in the series. There's a reason Mario Kart World gave Toad a legally distinct Explorer outfit. So we've treated them the same way here. Although I will say that if we had combined votes for Toad and Captain Toad together, the Mushroom Hero would have placed second. So what makes Toad different from Captain Toad? Well, the latter would almost certainly have a moveset based around his spin-off game and controlling his jumping ability, whereas Toad would have no such restriction. He'd be more straightforward and likely pull from his appearances in the mainline games. The vegetable pull from Super Mario Bros. 2 is a must, but everything else can come from the new Super Mario Bros. Games. The Propeller Hat Recovery, Ice Flower Special to change it up from Mario and Luigi's Fire Flower, maybe the Bubble Flower Side Special, Tanuki Tail Reflect or Cat Transformation Dive. There are plenty of options, is our main point. Different ones to Captain Toad. Although, one similarity they would share is Toadette coming along for the ride. No reason not to have her here after all, and there are only canonically 5 Toad colours in the main series, so we need at least 3 more options for alts. Now, before we get to the final 2, 3rd and 2nd place, let's cover some of the honourable mentions. The top 10 has been entirely Mario-centric so far, but the entire list had some Wario and DK characters in it as well. Specifically Ashley, who came in at 11th place, and Dixie Kong, who came in at 14th. Both have been highly requested in the last 2 Super Smash Bros. Titles, and have a shot of making it eventually, in our opinion. When it comes to the Mooks, there was one more who was closely behind Koopa Troopa but didn't quite make it, and that was Shy Guy. Nintendo falls back on the Shy Guy enemy to take on so many different jobs, like an extra in a play, able to take on any background role. And that means they have a ton of moveset potential, especially if they dip into the variants like Fly Guy and Sniff It. They easily have more options than Koopa Troopa does because of this, they just aren't as iconic to the series as Bowser's leading minion. Back to Mario's allies, some of his RPG partners got votes, and Vivian from the Thousand Year Door was a frontrunner for the pack. The fan favourite partner to Mario has an easy moveset based around her pyromancy and shadow powers, with a unique design that would stand out from other Mario characters, especially the paper aspect. But, saying all this, she's not the highest voted partner on the list. He was bound to be here somewhere, but Geno takes our number 3 spot. At this point, he is the longest running, most frequently requested character to get the fighter treatment across all series, but he has only managed to make it as a Mii costume so far. However, with his recent resurgence in the Super Mario RPG remake on Nintendo Switch, the chances of him making a fighter debut have increased significantly, and now it no longer feels like a pipe dream. All those wishes on stars might be coming true. The moveset potential for Geno is well known at this point. He has an entire arsenal of attacks from his singular appearance that they can use, although we do think his final smash will involve Mallow in some way. He should be here as well really, making the whole Mario RPG party playable in some way. So if Geno is in 3rd, who is in 2nd? Yep, it's Mario! Paper Mario to be precise. He's a different character from regular Mario, just like Toad and Captain Toad. But even if he wasn't, Dr. Mario's appearance negates this problem anyway. Unless they're separate people as well. Unlike Mario, Paper Mario has a plethora of paper-related abilities to work with, as well as his trusty hammer, and we think a moveset in Super Smash Bros. Should reflect his entire series. Not just the more paper-focused modern games, and not just the RPG partner games. Leaning into just one feels like fan pettiness and not encompassing what the Paper Mario series is actually all about. In our opinion, the standard smash and aerial attacks should all utilise the hammer and paper powers of Mario, including the 1000 arm fold and stickers. His grab should also be the 1000 arm fold from Origami King. His up special is the super jump from the Thousand Year Door, and at its apex the player can turn into a paper airplane and float back down. The side special should be a charged up hammer attack where Paper Mario twists himself up and lets go for a launching spin attack. And then the down special and neutral special are reserved for the partner moves. While it would be tempting to have every partner from across the series appear here, that would be too many in our opinion. So instead, we want to focus on the most popular game in the series, the Thousand Year Door. Every partner from that game is selectable with down special and uses one of their skills as the neutral special. Vivian pulls Mario into the ground, Koops launches forward in his shell, Bobbery blows up, Flurry blows wind, Yoshi Kid copies Yoshi's standard special, Goombella headbutts, and Miss Mouse steals the held item from the foe in front of her. The active party member could follow behind Paper Mario, but if they do, then they have to be able to get knocked off the arena, causing Mario to lose access to them until he also loses a stock. This doesn't mean the other partners from all the other games won't appear at all, we just think it's best left to taunts. Similar to how Pac-Man has a taunt that references other Namco games, Paper Mario should have a taunt that causes one of his other partners to appear. Olivia, Huey, Kirsty and Tippy are all musts for this taunt. And then the Paper Mario 64 cast could also appear in a similar fashion. Sorry to all the other pixels, there are so many of them that including them all would just end up being too much. Lastly, the final smash could be one of two options. The Showstopper star from the Thousand Year Door as it breaks through the background when it attacks, which would be a cool effect for Super Smash Bros., or one of the Thing objects from the modern series, either the fan which would rise from the background and violently blow all players to the left, or a pair of scissors that slices across the stage multiple times, cutting foes up. Something that references the paper aspect of the series. And well, that does it for the top 10 characters from the Mario series that you all want to see in the next Super Smash Bros. We did get some votes from folks saying they didn't want any more Mario characters added, or that the current amount is fine as is, but where is the fun in that? Thank you to everyone who voted in the poll for this. If you want to see what all the other results were like, the non-Super Smash Bros. Ones, then go and subscribe to the Nintendo Chronicler channel. The first of that video series is up right now, and more will be following shortly. As always, we want to thank our patrons. The $5 plus tier are appearing on screen right now. If you want to know how you can join them, please check the description down below. Please help us survive this YouTube landscape by liking and commenting down below. Engagement really is the best way to push content up nowadays. And always make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, so that you always remember to return to the source.